Hi everyone, welcome to Chai and Chat with Neha. We are with yet another amazing, full of information episode, and this time we are targeting all things women empowerment. And with me today, here is Jazz.
Hello.
Jazz, welcome to Chai and Chat with Neha.
Thank you for having
Could
me.
you? Oh, it's all our pleasure. Totally our pleasure. Could you please tell a little bit about yourself, what you're doing, and what are you trying to do with women empowerment and why? I mean, obviously I kept it as women empowerment, but what are you trying in that sector?
That's good. That's good. So I'm a mom and I run multiple businesses. And where 10 years ago I shifted from the corporate world, or maybe 12 years ago, and switched into more purchasing businesses. So it was a franchise. It was called Chop Leaf, and I decided to buy one, and then switched into investing in more of those locations. Where I am today is during that moment when people were reaching out to me and asking me for support and asking me for help. I wasn't there because I was trying to run my own businesses. And
Mhm.
where I am today is now I am working on empowering women with mindset and financial fundamentals. And what that means is all my experience that I've had in 12 years and how I've become successful, I'm able to take that and help women today. So that's where I am today. So kind of giving you a fast forward.
Awesome, awesome. And let me take you back 12 years back. And what sparked that initial, oh, I want to be an entrepreneur and I want to go into this business? What did spark?
So I was working the 9 to 5 job. I always moved up. My original plan was always to move up the corporate ladder.
Mhm.
I went to university and planned that. Got married, had children, and that's where I got confused. Working the 9 to 5 job, raising my children, it didn't make sense for me because I was working, coming home, and all I was doing is putting them to bed. So it just didn't fit for me and something had to change. And that's when I had to take responsibility for my life. And I didn't want to make any more excuses. And that's
Mhm.
where my mindset shifted. And I was able to think about what should I do that would give me a career that I wanted, give me that fulfillment, bring income for my family, but at the same time be the mom that I wanted to do. And that's so I shifted. I never thought I was going to be an entrepreneur, never thought anything of that. It was actually, and it was my husband that was my advocate. And he said, go for it. So as soon as I quit my job and I went full fledged into two different ways, I actually was doing photography and I went into Chop Leaf. And then I realized the logical sense made more logic to go into Chop Leaf because the money was there
Mm.
and I had more time with my children because I'm able to delegate and I was able to work during the lunch rushes and go home in the evenings with them. It just made a lot more sense for me.
Oh, that's so nice. And I think, like, that's what I'm seeing a lot more now. When women take any decision, right? Even if I talk about myself,
Mhm.
husbands are the ones who are like the most important role that they play here because they are our like the first line of support that we have. Like, obviously, we have parents, but then husbands with whom we are living like 24/7. So if we
Yeah,
get
he
that
he was my
support,
advocate,
yes.
100%. I feel like I was also accountable to him, if that makes
Hmm.
sense. So
Right.
if I decided, and even today, like working on my new program, Rise and Thrive, I can say I'm going to do it, and if 3 months later he'll ask me like, where are you at with it? So it's an accountability partner, and yet an advocate that pushes me to make me work harder. So I'm very fortunate that I have that partner. I mean, yes, it could be a mother, it could be a sister,
Yes.
it could be someone else.
Anybody. Correct, correct. But that support system is very much required because I mean, nobody comes or does work by themselves. Like, they
Not
need
at
that
all.
validation, they need that. And I think that points me to the second question that's coming into my mind right now. So, how did you decide to actually help women to come and like rise and thrive, is what you said, right? The new
Yes,
venture
yes.
that you, okay.
And that's what I was saying initially. It might not have made sense, but what I was saying was as I was running my own businesses and I was succeeding, women were reaching out to me and asking me for support. And I didn't understand why I was being asked all the time because I just thought it was obvious, like you decide to go this direction and you're just going to succeed. A couple of years ago, I started to listen to a podcast with Jack Canfield. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but he is in the movie The Secret. And
Okay.
so that's what inspired me to start listening to him. His voice resonated with me and it made a lot of sense. So then I went to his workshops. I went to California. I met with him and he makes you think about what your passion is and what direction you want to go with. And that's when I realized I've always knew it, but I needed that push. And I realized that what brings me joy is to support others and give them empowerment. And for me, what makes sense to me is what I'm learning and what I learned from him, because I was actually already following many of those principles on
Mm,
mindset, but also financial fundamentals, because I feel like if not necessarily always just business, but in life,
yes.
many of us are too scared to talk about finances, too nervous, shy about it, don't understand a statement. We're all in different places of finances, but we all have this tendency to not discuss it or share it. And if we can't discuss and share it, then how are you as your individual going to thrive in it? So that's where I decided, like, let's focus on your mindset first. Let's get your
Mm,
self-doubt out. Let's get your confidence in there. Let's get you to know what your goals are. And then let's step into your finances and let's talk about it. Whatever it is, each person's going to be different, right? Some people will totally be understand it and just need the next level. Some people will be in the basics, which is completely okay. And none of us should be embarrassed about where we are, because it all comes from our childhood. It all
yes.
comes from how we were raised and what
Raised.
we learned. So no one should be shy and embarrassed about it.
Nice. Yes, I think what you said is so correct here. Like, if I talk about myself, like, I
Mhm.
don't remember my parents ever talk to me about financial decisions or
Yes.
like how to talk about finances at home. Like, I didn't even know until I actually started talking to my friends about it. And
Okay.
then I realized, oh wow, like, and I don't know if it's necessarily a women issue or in general, like a
I think
cultural
that's
issue.
definitely a everybody issue.
Yes, yes. So, and then I realized, wow, we really need to make this change. And I'm glad that I'm talking to you about it today because I think if we are financially independent, not just women, but in general, like we make different decisions. But when we are not financially independent, we make very conscious decisions that are always around the finances.
Yes. Yes. And I mean, I have to say I'm not perfect either in finances, right? And I get reminded from my husband or my children, like, hey mom, you're living in lack, or why are you speaking like that? Right. You gotta live in abundance. So we all are learning still. But my first memory from was and the reason why I think I have more positive in finances and I'm excited about finances is because when I was a kid, the most interesting story was my mama, my uncle used to, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but he used to borrow money from me, but he used to give it to me and give me interest back. Like a lot. So if
Right.
he borrowed $20 from me, the next day he gave me 25. So I was this little girl learning money is really cool. And my piggy bank, it was this pink little piggy bank. It was literally a pig, grew and it had so much money in it at age like 5 and 7. So I like have excitement when it comes to finances, right? And many
Sure.
people have the opposite where it's a
Right.
negative, and that's where they grow into the negative growing up.
Yes, yes. It's very common in the households that we talk money in terms of, oh, they don't grow on trees.
Yes.
Oh, we are not going to waste money. Like we
Yep.
use these terms a
Yep.
lot, like, especially
Yep.
in South Asian homes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. My mom did that too, right? Like 100%. And then you're nervous about money and you're trying to
Yes,
save every dollar. So yes, 100%. And I catch myself doing the same thing with my children. And then I have to stop because I'm like, what am I teaching them for money, right? So
right.
100%.
Yes, yes. So with your new program, right? Like, and I guess not necessarily with the new program here, but when you first started in the entrepreneurship side of
Yes.
things, quitting 9 to 5 itself is a big, big decision. And coming into entrepreneurship, and you never know if it's gonna thrive, let alone thrive, it's gonna work or not. So, what were the challenges that you faced, and how did you overcome them?
I believe I'll give you the challenges and the positive. The positive was I had no self doubt. And that's the one
Mhm.
thing I'm very fortunate about. It was possibly the way I was raised. It was also the husband I had. I just knew it was going to succeed. That was the best. The challenge I remember in year one was I wasn't looking at my numbers. I
Mm.
remember this. I wasn't looking at my numbers. The accountant kept coming back to me. And I was like, well, no, because I was looking at an Excel spreadsheet. I remember thinking, okay, I'm going to be making money. I'm doing this. I'm doing this. But I wasn't actually reflecting that on my bank statement. So there was something that and that's why I want to teach people. You got to be able to do both. You got to be able to understand how the statements match your bank statement or how your numbers, right? Your end of the day or whatever report you're looking at.
Right.
But that was my challenge until I realized, like, oh, I have to look at this more closely. And every time I forget for a couple of weeks, things can get a little bit, a little bit shifty, or you're a little bit confused on something. So my biggest advice always is don't forget to look at your bank statements.
Sure. And in terms of, so let's say somebody is trying either the service based
Mhm.
company or the product based company. So they should always look at how much is outgoing and how much is incoming, right? Like, and see
Yeah,
if there's,
it seems so obvious, right? It seems
right.
so obvious, but
Yes.
we forget. Look at your bank statement every morning and
Okay.
make sure that the money that you expected to go out and the money you expected to come in actually came in.
Got
Right?
it.
Especially if it's like if you're using Apple Pay or however your e-transfers, don't just assume that it's all in there, and make sure that the money you were supposed to pay, I just don't assume that your pre-authorized payments worked. Verify that.
Nice. Because I mean, I think in today's world, we just like assume that, it's
Ignore
obviously
it. Yeah,
right.
for
It's
sure.
gonna work. Like we tend to believe other people or trust, if I may add here, that obviously the credit card would work, right?
Yes.
Like we
Yes.
would never
Yeah.
think of otherwise.
And
Sure.
looking at your numbers every morning, like that is something that I've learned from others that are successful.
Mm,
It's an important thing. You just quickly scan your bank statements in the morning. Just do a quick one. It helps. It gives you a good start for your day. It gets you an understanding of where you're at and what you need to do. So there's so many reasons why you look at that. It's one to just verify it, but also just to give you that momentum to understand where you're at, remind you what you're doing.
sure. And from one business, right? How did you and when did you realize, okay, now it's time for like to scale it?
Yeah.
Now I think I can take more responsibility.
Yeah. I don't even remember. I opened the first one. It's called Chop Leaf. It's in Canada. There's actually one down in the States as well.
Okay.
So when I opened the first one, I saw the success pretty quickly.
Okay.
And I don't recall how I made the decision, but it was obvious. It was obvious that the more locations, especially it's like a Subway. We knew, people that own so many Subways. And so you're scaling, right? You're scaling, you're sharing your employees, you're able to like lend the food if you need to. You're able to understand, okay, I made money here, so I can make money here. I just need another location that's further away, bringing in
Mhm.
different customers. It just seemed it just seemed like the obvious thing to do. If you're going to run one location, you would be more of like, you're a business owner, or you're going to be more of somebody you're an employee. Like, I wanted to be able to delegate to the teams
Mhm.
and be able to scale and drive around and see how my teams are doing versus just staying in one location and just focusing on that one.
Sure. And yeah, that makes total sense, right? And I guess that differs from service based to product based.
Yes. Yes. Definitely. I think locate because mine is location based. So
Right.
you can, with the restaurant, you're opening many of them and you're not able to get the same customer that is 35 kilometers away. So you need to open one there. But when it comes to something like an online presence, or like my Rise and Thrive, that's it. Like it's going to be this one. I would like to grow with employees maybe in 5 years and have a team behind me possibly, but it won't be, you wouldn't be able to do that. Every company is completely different in that sense. But growing and expanding the company is what you can do versus adding multiple locations. So growth
Sure.
is there. The growth potential is there in any business you choose.
Right, right. So it totally, it's not that service base is very different from product base. It's just like what you need to do in both of those places, right? And
Hmm.
especially now you're doing both, so you know what
Hmm.
to wear, right?
Hmm.
If I have to think about one thing that I can ask here is like, what are the obstacles you felt in service base and in product base, and like that you felt that like you have overcome it, and now it's like something that you will never forget. You can apply that rule everywhere.
Well, I think the obstacle I originally mentioned was like the financials. Like once you know you make that mistake and you don't look, you're definitely going to.
Hmm.
I feel like you're always learning. Sometimes you make an error and then you're like, you forget and then you might do it again. Or, leadership and speaking to your team, training. They're all, everything's, you're always like, I'm always getting better, but I can never say I've done something phenomenal and I'll never make that error again. If you understand, and even our mindset. So our mindset, where I am today in comparison to where I was 10 years ago, yeah, I've never had the self-doubt. I've always had the confidence moving in, but my mindset has improved drastically in the sense of resetting, focusing, slowing down, where I feel like I was always in a hurry before. I don't know if I
Right.
answered your question, but
No, definitely. I think I truly believe in the mindset as well. Like if and I've seen like with my job as well, like when you have a growth mindset, you're always looking to like, put something which can improve things in a
100%.
better direction.
You always
Right.
want to improve yourself as an individual and you
Yes.
want to improve your company. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like twofold, right? Like I go into one of my locations and I think, okay, how am I going to improve that? But then I
Hmm.
also always have to reflect on myself. How was I with the customer? How was I with my employee? How can I be better tomorrow? Yeah. And that's where your mindset goes into play.
Sure. And did you see any difference? Obviously, you also consult with your husband. He's also in the business, right? So did you feel that women entrepreneurs had more to do than male entrepreneurs, or is it anywhere different, or is the same?
Yeah, so my husband owns a cabinet company and he's in development as well. So we are
Hmm.
different in different realms. I do notice two things. First of all, when I first opened my locations, it's interesting that people always thought it was his. And it was always interesting. So people called him and said, "Hey, I'm at your restaurant." He had to
Hmm.
start correcting them because he knew that this was mine and he wanted to give me that. Right? Like it was mine. Like it was
Of course.
completely mine. It was his support and to be honest, his idea for me to look into it because he's the one who saw it and knew I wanted to change. But it was all mine, and he always laughed at that. But everyone the first year was like, never called it Jas's Chop Leaf, never called it Jas's location. It was his. So he had to make sure people. And the other thing that I find interesting, and I feel like that's a choice. This is a choice, so I'm not negating men in any way.
Hmm.
Many women want to be that mom as well, right?
Right.
Like, so I became self employed because I wanted to be able to focus on both. I wanted to be able to pick up and do the drop offs, and I want to be involved with my kids 100%. I
Hmm.
absolutely love that. My husband heads to work super early, and I am with the children and I do the drop off. That's
Hmm.
my thing. Him, and I think many men, I hope I'm not over speaking here, when they go self-employed or when they go into their careers, they focus just on that.
Yes.
And they know that their families are okay, right? I mean, my husband's very, very involved, don't get me wrong, but
Of
I'm the
course.
one who does those things. I'm the one who does the delegation. The little boss in the family, maybe a little bit too bossy for them, but that's what I want, right? So I think a lot of women want that. They want to be there as a mother. I mean, I think that's our nurturing side of us, right? Like,
Right.
so that's the difference I feel like that we have, and we crave it. And that's why I changed my career.
Sure, sure. No, I totally agree with you on this. Like, I mean, no matter I didn't want to have it in a way where we are doing any comparison, but it's mostly obviously like we have seen so many memes and so many images where women are doing a lot of things, and it's not that they have to do, but they like to do some of the things, but then men are super focused. That's how they have been always when they're doing
Yeah.
business.
Yeah. And I think, and we do it to ourselves, right? Sometimes we
Yes.
are overexhausted, but kind of
Yeah.
like, I can't blame anyone else. It's my
Right.
choice. I choose this, right? I have to
Yes.
own it. That's one of my things. You got to take responsibility for your decisions, right? That's one thing of the
Correct.
mindset. So if I am
Yes.
exhausted, then I need to step back and go, why am I exhausted? And what am I doing? And what can I change? I could ask. He
Sure.
does all
Yeah.
the week school evening activities. He does it all, right? So
Right.
all I have to do is ask, can you do this? And he'll jump right. It just he thinks I want to do it, and then I kind of do, right?
Yes, yes. And I think that's in our nature. It's not that we don't want to ask for help or we are too proud to do that. No, it's like we think that it's okay, we'll do it. And we just like that's where we overwhelm ourselves, I guess,
Mhm.
most of the
Yeah,
times.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm
And
fortunate that I will say that the way that I've ran my businesses, I
mhm.
have had time. I've had time because that was one of the things people used to always be surprised. I will never tell you that I'm overwhelmed and I was busy. I was running 4 locations at one time,
Wow.
but I had a team under me. I am probably like the best delegator you can imagine. So my team is wonderful. I have the best managers, so I can do what I want to do. And I
Hmm.
can have a cup of chai if I want to, right? Which I actually used to do
Right.
all the time at my dad's house. I used to go there all the time because that's what I wanted to do. And I was never feeling overwhelmed by doing that because I can take that's where the fortunate part is when you're self-employed. You choose
Hmm.
how much you want to grow your business. You
Hmm.
choose how much you want to work from that goal. And you choose how much you want family time to be. And for me, I wanted to grow and I was growing, but
Hmm.
I also took some time and go, sometimes I'm like, no, I'm going to take me time or I'm going to take family time and I'm going to do this. Where I feel like many men they just want to grow, which is completely fine. Thank God my husband wants to just grow because that supports us too. So, there's just it's a different way we think, right?
Right. Right. Yes. So how do you see, because you started your business 12 years ago, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's been around 12 years.
Okay, so do you see like there's a huge difference then versus now, or is it still the same for women entrepreneurs?
I feel like it's still the same because when I was younger, so I was in my 30s when I started, I had women around that age coming to me and asking me for support. And as I mentioned, I didn't really understand that. And today, now that I'm starting to go back and I'm starting to collaborate and meet with other women in business, I think they have the same questions. Everyone still has the same questions. And I feel like, many entrepreneurs have a vision. They know what they want to do, but
Right.
they don't know either the logistics or else they give
Mm.
themselves self-doubt. They don't know how to lean into it. And that's where I want to support. So honestly, all the experience I've had in 12 years with all the people I've spoken to, that is how I created my program and able to implement it today.
Awesome. And I'm sure, like in this journey, you have had some challenging times as well.
Of
So how
course.
do you keep yourself motivated and that resilience feeling that okay, you know what, will bounce back? How do you do that?
I mean, yeah, I mean that's life, right? COVID was one, especially because I was restaurant based, and that was very strange. I don't even make my food; like I have my team, but during COVID,
Right.
I was making the food because I it's kind of like you were forced to let everyone go because that's what the government was telling you here in Canada.
Yes.
So you're just
Right.
like, okay, now what do I do? So those are definitely challenges, and you you can't you can't create anxiety for things you don't know. So there was
Hmm.
no point in me going, what's going to happen next year for my business? There was no point of thinking that. My thought was, what am I going to do for the next month? And luckily we did have, the government did step in and support us financially in many ways. So I
Hmm.
wasn't within a couple of weeks, you just kept on pushing through until you started seeing doors open again, customers come back again. And sometimes I do reflect, it's been 5 years and you're like, wow, like it's all normal again, right? So if
Yes.
you start overthinking things that are not in your power, it's
Hmm.
just not going to help you.
Wow, that's very powerful, to be honest. Like I think we get into a lot into what's not working
100%.
versus into what's working and work through it.
Yeah, focus on what you can do and set your affirmations on that. Visualize the positive, and you'll get everything else will get. Oh, I just heard that on a podcast. Something like nothing is nothing is always, everything's evolving. Things are always going to change. So if you're in a rut, you're not going to be in the rut for a long time. If something, God forbid, happens, it's not going to be like that forever. Just always remember that you're going to get out of it. But yes, we do go through life challenges. We lose people, we have grief, we have all that, but you just have to keep on going and know that there is more.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm glad you touched on it. I'm glad you said that. Because, like how I said, so many people, when something negative happens in their life, and it's common, like it has happened with me. Like I'm a kind of a person who goes into rabbit hole with that. It's like, and it's so difficult for them to see the light at the end of the tunnel,
Yes.
right? Like we don't know that's gonna happen. But when they come out of it, I think this is the lesson that they would learn, that, what if I would have handled it differently,
Mhm.
right? So this is a lesson like for people to take it. And I'm really glad you touched on this today.
Sometimes, for me, an easy way to try to get out of something or try not to stay in that moment, because you're allowed to be in that moment, is I know my children are watching me. So when you know your
Hmm.
children are watching you, right? Like, you just know that everything we do, they are learning from you, they're observing
Sure.
you. And to be honest, they're way too honest with you nowadays comparison to when we were with our parents. They'll tell you right away, like, "Hey, mom, get out of that," or "Hey, mom, you sound a little bit negative." My kids know I'm all about Jack Canfield and how I've been trained through
Okay.
him. So they tease me sometimes. Does that sound like something Jack Canfield will say, right? Like they'll make that comment. You're like, oh, okay, you caught me. So you're kind of like, being watched for the positive, so they kind of,
They become your cheerleader, right? That's what I see from like what you're talking, and they are doing such an amazing job.
yeah.
And yes, yes. So nice. So, because we are touching on this topic, what are the things that you would like to tell people? And I'm not just talking about women entrepreneurs here, right? Like, what are the things that you would like to tell people to follow so that they can go into the path where they see success? Like, I know it's easier said than done, but do you think there are some steps that they can
Yeah, I
start?
mean, that's what my program is about. Like, I
Okay.
have created like a 7-step, 7-week program where we
Okay.
focus first 3 weeks, you're focusing on mindset, and then you
Mm-hmm.
focus on the financial fundamentals. This is like a recipe. It's not going into your actual business, right? Like I have the support and I can step in and I can give the right people to you, but I'm not an accountant. So I'm not going to be giving you that, but I can teach you what a profit and loss statement is. But
Mm-hmm.
first going into it, every person needs to have the right mindset. You need to know that you can do it. You need
Mm-hmm.
to take up the self-doubt. You need to take responsibility. So I have it like week by week. Like the first week, it's focusing on your 100% responsibility and
Mm-hmm.
owning that. And
Mm-hmm.
then taking out any clutter out of your life, knowing how to bring your joy in at high vibrations, and then setting your affirmations and visualization. So
Sure.
once you have that, and once you understand, okay, there's so many other success principles we can use, but those three are the ones that resonate with me because that's how I believe I've succeeded.
Mm-hmm.
Once you understand those three, I believe that you can go in and any person can really go in and start going, okay, now let's look at the numbers. Now that I've set my goals, how? And everyone in business, even in personal life, we need to know our budget. And when you ask anybody, do you have a budget? People usually
Mhm.
say no.
Mhm.
So on your mind, how much money is, like, I write everything down because I'm not going to remember. Like, of course I know what my mortgage amount is, but I'm not
Mhm.
going to remember how much percentage of my income is used for personal versus fun versus expenses that are mandatory. So those are things you need to know because you need to know if you're overspending in something in business or in life.
Mhm. Sure. So, with like how you said about your business, right? And there are 7 stages. Are there so is there a subscription that people can join? And
Yeah.
is it like month to month basis? How can people join
Sounds good.
your
So I'm
mentorship?
starting off with anyone can DM me on Instagram or message me and have a 30-minute discovery call with me. So then I will ensure that the program that I'm going to be using for you does make sense. And the first program that I have, it is that 7-week program. And if
Mm-hmm.
that fall, which I would guarantee like 99% of people I speak to will follow into this program. And
Okay.
then, so you pay for, it's one time fee for this
Okay.
service, this program. Unless you want to do private one-on-one, generally this will be a group session. So there'll
Okay.
be a group of 10 people maximum, and group of 10 people will be working together. The great thing about working together with the group, you also have accountability partners now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a little mini mastermind, and you
Sure.
all will give each other advice. Not to say that I'm the only one that's going to give advice and I'm the only one that knows all the answers. We all have different experiences and we can all share. So every week we'll be going together through the program. You'll be going to have homework. And then the following week, we follow up with that homework. And then we talk about the next mindset or financial fundamental. And then week 7 is for us to just, let's have a chat. Let's talk about this. Let's own it. How are we moving forward now? What are we going to be doing about this?
Sure, that sounds so fantastic right now, right? Like, it's like usually what I've seen is when people are starting with the businesses, they don't know whom to look up to, whom to connect with.
Yes.
And usually that's when the businesses fail because they don't have a vision. I mean, even if they do have a vision, they don't have the support or like the mentorship that they're
Yes.
looking for.
Yeah. And people have a vision. I feel like, I want to sell dishes, right?
Yes. Yes.
But what is your goal on those dishes?
Mhm.
I'm looking at a glass right beside me. What's your goal? You want to sell 100 glasses, and are they worth $1.99? So, what's your goal? Set your actual measurables, have numbers to that goal. And now you know your goal. Okay,
Mhm.
self-doubt for that no you can happen, right? And the
Sure.
great thing about being in a session like this is you're also going to get to collaborate. And I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs, we think we can do it on our own. We can't. There's
Yes.
no way you can run a business on your own. You need help, you need accountability partners, you need advice. So collaborating with others, and sometimes from different categories, industries, is even helpful. you know
Oh, yes.
somebody might have a connection with, if you're selling glasses, well, I actually have warehouses where you can store that, or I know you can get it from this place. And people just don't know until they start meeting. And a lot of us are introverts, and we want to do it ourselves, and we don't want to. And I mean, I'm a introvert slash extrovert. I can be an extrovert when I have to be, but I personally
Mhm.
like to sit at home myself as well. So it's sometimes, even for me, moving into this Rise and Thrive program, I'm out there now introducing myself to more people and
Mhm.
collaborating with more businesswomen, more successful businesswomen, because I know that they can help me and I can help them.
Sure, yeah, and I can totally relate with you on this, right? Like, I thought I was very extrovert until I started Chai and Chat. And I
Okay.
was like, and especially with Instagram, right? Like you get into the frenzy, and I realize, oh my God, no, I'm not this person who can post every day. No, it burns you out. So
That's the
yes, and it's very important to take it back and see what aligns. So I did exactly the same for myself. Like I was like, okay, I'm going to take a step back and see what aligns with me and how I want to go further with it. So, and we are already talking about it, but I want to know from you, like, what is your vision for this program, like, especially for women?
Well, so what I've learned about myself is it brings me joy knowing someone says, hey, that worked. Hey, I see success.
Mm.
So my small goal here is every individual I connect with, I somehow have supported. Well, I absolutely want that. My long term vision, I'm still setting that, but oh my God, the visualizations I have is, me being on podcasts, me going and speaking in front of a group of people, being not just having one program, but having many, depending on which principle I want to teach you. Because Jack Canfield has tons of principles, and all of it's around mindset. And, I'm taking the top 3 that work for me. But I truly believe that there is no limit here. There's so much that we can all learn and teach. And, he's not the only one that is there. When you listen to any of these motivational speakers, they're
Mm-hmm.
all saying the same thing. What happens is one will resonate with you, you'll get an aha moment with somebody else. And what I want to do is individually, one on one, maybe I'll be the one to help you or somebody else get that aha moment, because you didn't have time to be listening to Tony Robbins. You know who he is, but you don't have time to listen to that podcast. Or maybe just having a quick conversation with me or having a 7-week program with me, you'll be able to resonate. And I'm teaching you the same things that all these motivational speakers speak about. Any successful business person has followed this. There's no doubt. They've all taken responsibility for their life. When you
Mm.
read about it, and I'm reading Arlene Dickinson's book right now. And the first chapter, that's what she said. She took responsibility for her life when her company was going under. She owned it. She
Mm.
knew. She owned all her mistakes. And that's the thing we all have to remember. That's my biggest one, is we got to take responsibility.
Sure. So, what are your, and since we're talking about mindset and everything, what are your thoughts or what are your suggestions for people, and especially women? I'm gonna quote unquote here, like, because I really feel women when they come in this country, like right now I'm in States, and a lot of women, they come from India and they don't have work visa, or like even if they have work visa, the only thing they can think of is maybe working in a grocery store because they could not find the jobs that they were doing back in India, right?
Yeah.
So, especially for people like those who are looking into starting their own business but they don't know how to start. So, what are your suggestions?
I think the first thing is, I do have a lot of international students that work for me, and
Okay.
I absolutely love that they stay with me for a couple of years, but I want them to thrive. And what I feel like sometimes what happens is, not all, some of them are very successful. Many of them forget what their passion was. So they come here and they want to come to Canada, and they, like you said, then they had some idea, it didn't work out, and then they decided to work at a grocery store. And that's not going to be their long term. So something that is also on my plan is to help you determine what your passion is. So you
Mm-hmm.
kind of like stepping before you even set your goal, you got to look at all aspects of your life. So it's like a wheel of life, and there's so many different categories, and you need to be able to give yourself a ranking, like, what am I, 5 out of 10? So you go in, and it's like a little program you do with each individual,
Okay.
and they set it. So now they're going to give their personal side, their social life, 5 out of 10, but they're going to give their finances 8 out of 10, and they're going to give their health something. So then they're going to look at that, and then they're going to they need to focus and go, okay, where do I need to grow right now? Because once they start realizing they need to focus on one category, then they're going to start being able to increase their vibration, start bringing joy, and start realizing and learning, okay, now let's focus on the passion, right? What is my passion? But you kind of get stuck, right? Like, my dad was an immigrant and my mom's an immigrant. That was a totally different time. They all knew the direction they were going to go. My dad was going to work in a sawmill. His goal was to raise his 4 children, and that was
Mm.
it. That was his goal. And it was hard for him. Like, I can go back and reflect and go, oh my God, the challenges he had. The
Yes.
difference today with people coming from India, it's completely different.
Mm.
Their comparison, their social media, they're looking, they want something more. Where I feel like the generation in the 70s and 60s that came, they just had one goal in mind, and they knew their goal. So
Yes.
they knew their goal, right? It goes back to setting your goals. They know it, so they're going to get it. But these guys don't know their goal anymore. They want
Mm.
success, but they don't have their goal, but they don't have their passion. So it kind of goes backwards a little bit. I hope that makes sense.
Right. Yes. And I think that's where the stress comes, right? Oh, so things are not happening. And then the rabbit hole
The
of
rabbit hole
thoughts.
comes in, and then you have the self-doubt, and then media plays into it, and there's so much more today in society than was different. And the anxiety,
Yes.
the students I meet today, they're way more anxious, in my opinion, than the generation that came in the 60s and 70s, right?
True.
It could also be, I mean, I might be me guessing, but back in the 70s, you couldn't really contact the people in India, right? It was the phone
Right.
call and it was
Yes.
airmail.
Yes. Yes.
Today, they have to talk to their parents.
Yes.
I'm Tika, blah, 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 whatever it is, right? But like, so they have to share more. We're like,
Mm.
maybe when my dad was going through a struggling day, he wasn't going to go share it and then go into the rabbit hole. He just had to get out of it. I don't know, just some things. It's definitely different than where I was with the first generation that traveled here, right?
Yes. Yes. No, I totally agree. Like, I think a lot of it also comes from a comparison too. because now
100%.
we have it in front of our eyes,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like we are here doing this, somebody else is doing something else, and look, they're thriving, or look, they're doing better. You never know what,
Oh, including
like,
me. Like we all are doing that, right? We go to someone's house, we have dinner at someone's house, and then you go and you're like, "What is supposed to- oh my God, why is my house is not clean like that? Oh my God, why are their children so good and well mannered? Whatever it is, we're comparing. We need to stop the
yes,
comparison.
true,
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things to raise the vibration is stop comparing. We are not comparing apples to apples. We are comparing apples to totally different things.
Yeah. And you don't know what's going on in their life, right?
No.
Like I remember like when I first got married, I sound so terrible. I went and I had dinner with somebody and their house was perfect and they were like blah blah blah. And I came home and I looked at my husband and I was like, but I didn't even know their story. This
Right.
couple had a story that I didn't know. And
Sure.
they looked great. But my relationship with my husband was phenomenal. So why am I comparing? What's the point? Like,
Yes.
we're so silly sometimes, right?
All the times. Because I think this is in human nature, and now it's becoming more prominent because of the social media, because that's what we are doing. And there's so much data out there.
Hmm.
And I think that's what we need to realize. And I think with what you said, like slow mornings or slow time that you need that time for yourself to realize that, okay, what I need to do for today. Like, and I think going day by day, that's, I feel personally that helps me,
100%.
rather than thinking, not that I'm perfect by any means. I'm also learning. So people ask me, you're so confident, you speak so confidently. But no, I am not. I am like shit scared inside. Sorry to use that word. I'm like, even right now with the podcast episodes, I'm like, oh, am I asking the right questions? But I'm here presenting myself at the same time, right? Like without thinking
That's
whatever.
awesome. And that's fantastic. Like that's the way we need to be. Like we need to just
Right.
step into it. You wanted to
Yes.
do something and you stepped in, and that's you're leaning into it. And that's where I am. Like I've been talking about this coaching program. I've been sharing it with people for a year, saying I'm going to do this. And I felt like saying it out loud made
Mm,
me
accountable.
right.
Yes.
So then by
Yes.
saying it and saying it and saying it, I was like, okay, I can't now take it back. I better do it.
Yes.
So I took the training
Yes.
program. I did this, and now I'm ready for it. And I'm ready. I'm launching it. Right. So
Yes.
yeah, like good for you. Yeah, we all have that. We all have a little bit of that, but we just got to push out. And when we do have it, just
Hmm.
remember to have it for a short period, right?
Yes.
The
Oh, this is
negativity,
a
and then
good one.
just get it out, right? Like
Right.
move on quickly as soon as you can. But yeah, feel it. It's okay, but
Sure. Oh, this is such a nice takeaway. Like, I hope whosoever is listening to this can use it in real life, because and I'm not saying again, it's easier said than done. Like, when we are going through difficult times, it is so, so common to just start thinking in a negative sense. But yes, I think we need to snap out of it. We need those tools to snap out of it and see what a beautiful life we already have.
for sure.
And yeah,
And
these
get
were
the support,
some.
have the support, right? Find the partner, get the accountability partner, whomever you need. You can't do it by yourself.
Right, right. Thank you so much, Jazz. That was such an amazing session. And I feel so empowered right now, like just talking to you and what you're doing. And I hope you all the best.
Thank you so much. I'm excited. And thank you for having me on this platform. I really appreciate it. And it's been fantastic.
It was totally my pleasure, to be honest. It
Thank
was
you.
really nice talking to you, Jazz.
Thank you so much, Neha. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.